Welcome back to Afternoon Live. Our next guest grew up on the Klamath River in Northern California, where once abundant salmon and lampreys started to become sick. In her new children's book, she shares the significance of these fish and the inspiring true story of the people who saved them. We welcome the author of I Love Salmon and Lampreys, a native story of resilience, Brook M. Thompson. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited.
You look so fabulous. We can't stop talking about your outfit. So, lamprey or lamprey? What are we saying?
I've heard people say both. I say lamprey. Well,
okay.
Actually, I would rather say Kwin, which is the Yurok word for him. So
I'm glad I asked. There you go, learning things already. So you've kind of devoted your studies and your career to these fish specifically. Can you take me back to your childhood and kind of experiencing and understanding how important they are?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
It's really hard to sum up. But I think for me, salmon and lamprey are this connection not only to my culture, but their connection to my ancestors, because I get to grow up on the same river that my ancestors have lived on since time immemorial. So they specifically managed the eels, the lamprey, and the salmon for me to live a healthy life. And so for me, I know you had a cooking segment on a moment ago. It's kind of like when someone who really loves you cooks you your favorite meal and you feel that love passed down. That's what salmon and lamprey feel like to me, where I know my ancestors took good care of them so I could have them.
That's a great way to describe it. Well, and you talk about in the book, which is so beautiful, by the way, through a child's eyes, seeing this great fish die off when you were a young kid and then witnessing the people who stood up for them. Can you tell us a little bit about the story?
Yeah, so the story is about my actual lived experience, because that's the story I know how to tell best. And it's about how I saw the 2002 fish kill, which was the largest salmon kill in West Coast history, where as a 7-year-old who grew up fishing with my family, I saw where around 60,000 salmon died in one morning, and how that deeply affected me and my family and has continued to affect my tribe since then. Because salmon is everything. Like when our salmon are healthy, we're healthy, and when they're not, that really affects the health and well-being, and not only physical but mental and community health of my tribes. And so for me as a 7-year-old, where I saw all these bodies the same size of my own on the Klamath River rotting, it made me want to figure out how to make sure this never happens again. And there were so many adults in the community that I looked up to that were really the force to make this a reality. So I'm just kind of following their lead.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just been this generation of the last 24 years to get this dams removed on the Klamath River, which were one of the reasons the fish died. And because of that, I became a civil engineer, an environmental engineer, and I currently work as a restoration engineer, and I'm also a Ph.D. student now at UC Santa Cruz. So my personal and professional life has been all wrapped up in how we protect water and how we uplift Indigenous voices.
So as you're going along in all of these studies and your advanced degrees, did you ever imagine that a children's book would be in the picture somehow? It's such a wonderful way to pass the story along.
Yeah, actually, I've always wanted to write a children's book since I was a kid, and doing, when you practice doing books in class or whatnot. And as someone who has dyslexia severely, it was also a way that I feel like I could, give back and be like, hey, even though I had a hard time writing and reading as a kid, I could still do this thing. And the book's actually written in an open dyslexic font that makes it easier for other kids with dyslexia and reading disabilities to read. So it's kind of like that full circle moment for me. In addition to, as a scientist and engineer, I really think all scientists and engineers should be able to talk about their complex subjects and figure out how to make it open for everyone, because everyone deserves to learn about science and all these cool things that people are researching, and yet scientists tend to be a little bit wordy and hard to understand sometimes.
Well, and what a great gift using that font specifically that wasn't available when we were kids, and now you can pass the story along and make sure that it's more accessible.
Exactly.
Tell me about the props that you're holding here, which are so adorable.
Yeah, these are some things I also make. I make these salmon and lamprey stuffed animals.
That is so cool.
And actually the lamprey sucks onto the salmon with a magnet.
No way.
Yeah, so it's been my way of being like, okay, lamprey are kind of hard to like for a lot of people because they can look kind of scary in person. But I'm like, if a kid can hug a lamprey, I feel like that's one step closer to them getting to like them and wanting to care about them.
Can you tell us more about lamprey, because they're so fascinating and they've been on this earth basically forever?
Yeah, no, I love to talk about lamprey. So, I mean, some of the really cool things about them is they're actually not eels, even though they look like this. They're actually fish. And yeah, they've been here longer than sharks have, longer than sturgeon have, and longer than even the T-Rex.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and they also have like a cool third eye on top of their head, like some lizards do, where they can sense light. And they also just like suction themselves onto other fish like salmon, where they drink like the salmon's blood, but also they can use it to like climb up walls. I often tell kids it's like in those spy movies where you have like the suction cups.
Yeah.
That's kind of like lamprey.
That's so cool.
Yeah, no, they're a really awesome creature that I think should be talked about more.
Well, and I mean, these are so adorable. The illustrations in the book are so beautiful. Tell me about that process, bringing the words to life with those pictures.
Yeah, so Anastasia, who is my illustrator, I found her through looking online. She's Ukrainian, and I was trying to find another woman who could maybe use some income. And so, in addition to how cute she draws these pictures, and I really wanted it to be watercolor so it would fit the theme of the book, talking about these water issues.
What a great idea.
Yeah, no, seeing it come to life has been so exciting for me. She did just such an amazing job.
It really does bring the story to life.
Also just making them cute. Like,
yes.
Fish aren't always the first thing that comes to people's minds as cute.
We're so excited for you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so excited for this book.
Okay, we want to let everybody know that Brooke has a kids story time tomorrow morning at 10:30. It's at Powell City of Books on West Burnside. The book again is I Love Salmon and Lampreys, and we'll have more information on our website at katu.com.